Om Sahana Vavatu Sahano Bhunaktu Sahaviryam Karvavahe Tejasvinavadhitamastu Ma Vidvishavahe. Om. Today we'll start our conversation with Katha Upanishad. Katha, it has multiple meanings. Some of the meanings like Katha is distress of maybe ignorance or maybe knowledge. Knowledge also creates distress. There is spiritual distress, there is physical distress, there is psychological distress, many type of distresses. We go through that for multiple times in our life. Certain things, just one word creates havoc in our mind. It's like a blast. So we are in constant distress. So that distress is also called Katha. One of the rishis of Krishna Yajurveda. Actually, this Upanishad is the last chapter of Krishna Yajurveda, which is Katha Upanishad. And one of the rishis also was named as Katha, who wrote some suktas in Shukla Yajurveda, Krishna Yajurveda. Sorry. So that can also reflect that this Upanishad is based on his name, Katha. Katha is also stories, because this Upanishad is very famous for a very famous story, Nachiketa and Yama. So Katha is also story of our life, story of everyone, even living object, non-living object. So that is story of every iota of the universe. That is Katha Upanishad. Katha is also samvad, discussion, conversation, because it is also a conversation between Nachiketa and Yama. So that is Katha Upanishad. And I can say for sure that Katha Upanishad is the most famous Upanishad, most widely studied Upanishad. And people have done great researches, people have done great interpretations. People have talked teams of times about the stories of Nachiketa and Yama. Very famous Upanishad, Katha Upanishad. Even Swami Vivekananda made it even more public by his famous sentence, Uttishta Jagrat Prapya Varan Nibodat. So Katha Upanishad is one of the most widely studied Upanishads. And Nachiketa, the central character of this Upanishad, I can say the literal meaning, Nachiketa is simple, without cunningness. Prapanch, the right word is prapanch. He is free from any prapanch. That is Nachiketa. So our character is expected to be like Nachiketa, to start our journey towards Upanishads. If we become simple, if remove all the complexities, all the those plots or twistings going on in our minds, if we remove all those, we become simple, straightforward. That is Nachiketa. And then our spiritual journey starts. Till we have those complexes, those plots, we cannot start our journey. If we become simple, make it straightforward, our journey begins like Nachiketa. That is also a message, a central message. So we'll come across these messages. Shanti mantra of these Upanishad is what we usually start with. Atha Kathopanishad. Om Sahana Vavatu Sahano Bhunaktu Sahaviryam Karvavahe Tejasvinavadhitamastu ma vidvishavai. Om Shantihi Shantihi Shantihi. The literal meaning is, this is between you and me. It is between Guru and Shishya. I don't consider myself as Guru. It's a too big position. I'm just like you. But I am starting this conversation. So I am Acharya. So Acharya and Shishya, or Acharya and listeners. This Shanti part says that may we both be protected, you and me. May we both be blissful. May we both use our strengths to perform our rightful work. May our studies be brilliant and joyful. If there is no joy after studying anything, the central idea is already lost. May we never have the poison of hate in our hearts. No hatred for anyone. Because it's about Nachiketa. Nachiketa cannot have hatred. Om, peace, peace, peace. Maybe there are different interpretations. If you would like to share about Om Sahanaavatu. Chapter 1, it's in English we call it first chapter, but originally the word they use in Upanishad part is vallI. So Prathama vallI, first vallI. Om Ushanha Vai Vajashravasah Sarve Vada Sandadau Tasyaha Nachiketa Nama Putra Asa. Once, the story begins. Once, desiring to attain the highest results for his actions, Vajashravas. So name is Ushanha Vai Vajashravasah. Vajashravas, also known as Aruni Uddalaki Gautama, began a religious ceremony for giving away all his possessions. He had a son by the name of Nachiketa, the simple one, free from cunningness, free from plots, free from all the prapanchas. And his father's name is Vajashravasa. Now, original name is Aruni. He is also famous. There is a very famous story about Uddalaka, about Aruni, but the central character here is Nachiketa. Maybe some of the Upanishads or somewhere we will come across those contexts. He started religious ceremony, like we just concluded Vijayadashmi yesterday or Navratra before that. So there were many festivals, religious festivals. Actually, religion was part of the culture. We cannot take out from our Sanatan Dharma, Sanskruti. Religion and actually Dharma is our Sanskruti. That's how I put it. So everything we used to do was Dharma, for Dharma, of Dharma. Somehow we lost that meaning, but usually that's how it used to be. So there was a religious ceremony. When it is said that there was a religious ceremony, implies that apart from daily ceremonies or daily rituals, daily puja and archan, whatever we did or we used to do, apart from that, there was some special thing going on. That's why it is called religious ceremony. So Vajashravas was doing that. Tamha Kumaram Santam Dikshanasu Niyamanasu Shraddha Vivesha So Amanyata. This young saintly boy observed the giving away ceremony and overcome with concern for his father thought. Now, giving away ceremony, arthat danam. All of our religious ceremonies or all of our dharmic activities used to conclude with giving away, dana. Without that, no ceremony can conclude. Even if we do, let's say somebody does Navaratri Puja, 9 days, even if they don't label it as a special ritual, if they perform anything special apart from daily routine, it is a religious ceremony and it has to conclude with some danam, otherwise it is not complete. If we cannot give, uh, we lose the idea of what we did before. So Nachiketa, the simplest boy, and he is called here saint. He was that type of person. He saw his father was doing this danam, the giving away ceremony. But he observed something. What he observed? पीतोदका जगद् तृणा दुग्धदोहा निरीन्द्रयाः ananda nama te lokastansa gacchadita dadat. The one who gives in charity those old and used up cows that have drunk their last water, eaten their last grass, given their last milk, and are barren, he shall go to a world that is joyless, surely. He observed. What he observed? His father was giving away all the cows. But what kind of cows? They were barren. They were not giving milk. Maybe they had their last water. They had their last milk, grass. Meaning they were about to die. Those deserted cows. His father was giving away those. So he thought these guys were given. So we should notice this thing. He thought these cows shall go to a world that is joyless, surely. Meaning they are going to be slaughtered. Because if you give dana of such cow, what is going to happen with that cow? Who is going to nurture, nourish, feed those cows? They are instead going to slaughter. Sa hovacha pitarantat kasmai mandasya siti dvitiyam tritiyam tanhovacha mrityavetva tadamiti. So he said, with the intention of lessening his father's sin, "O father, to whom will you give me?" He asked this for a second and then a third time. Irritated, the father said, "I will give you to the Lord of Death." Now, Nachiketa, he was very simple. He didn't tell his father directly, "You are doing wrong. Satyam vada, priyam vada, asatyam nanyat, apriya nanyat." Satya, if you say Satya, that has to be loving also. If you say Satya, that is apriya, it will create havoc. So he didn't say, he wanted to say Satya, truth. He didn't say, "Father, you are doing wrong. You are doing danam, but with wrong intention." He didn't say. What he said? "Who are you going to give me?" So he wanted to create thought in his father's mind that what you are doing is wrong. But he said something differently. And so his father, he asked 2 times, 3 times. Now his father became angry, irritated. We all get angry, right, with our children. So father said, "I am giving you to death, Yama. You are going to Yama." That means die. So what happens next? Bahunamemi prathamo, bahunamemi madhyamah, kim svidhyamasya kartavyam, yan maya agha karishyati. Nachiketa thought, in many categories I am great, while in many other categories I am only an average. What action will Yama will do unto me? Will he like me? Will he say something? Meaning he was a simple person. So he knew everyone is imperfect. We have some good qualities, some bad qualities. So he thought, I am good in many things, but I am average in other things. So if I die, I'll reach Yama. But is Yama going to like me? Whatever I have achieved so far in life, or whatever I did in my life, what will he say? That's what he was thinking. Now, here there are 2 things. This is story. or this might have happened, and Rishi woven that story based on the facts into such things. Or this is a metaphor, or this is kind of a beginning for a saintly person to reach to next stage. You need to go to Yama. Now Yama is control. Whatever we do, like tapa, some people do Navratra Upvas, Ekadashi Upvas, today is Ekadashi day. So doing such penance, doing puja, that I must do certain religious acts every day and I follow religiously or rigidly. These are all tapa, some swadhyaya, pathan. So these are all restraints that controls our senses. So in a way it is yama. So if I am going to yama, meaning I start doing all these things. That is one thing. In other aspect, I take out my physical body. I die. I wouldn't say suicide, but atmaghat. That my physical body must go away. So my soul goes to yama. So whatever next, we don't know for sure, but Rishis have seen. So it goes there. So there are two aspects. We don't know which one is right, which one was intended by the Rishi. Maybe we can think more once we know the stories. अनुपश्य यथा पूर्वे प्रतिपश्य तथा परे सस्यमिव मर्त्यः पच्यते सस्यमिवा जायते पुनः. Nachiketa thought with courage, remember how our forefathers acted. Consider also how others now act. A mortal decays like a plant and is reborn again like a plant. Now, this is kind of a gap, right? What happened? So Nachiketa, Rishi has put these words that now Nachiketa thinks about forefathers, ancestors, what they did. They also must have gone through death and they might have reached somewhere. Nobody knows. But what they acted, we cannot say. But I can say that when a plant decays, when a plant dies, a new plant sprung, meaning from its seeds, a new plant comes back. So there is a cycle. That's how indirectly indicated. So even if I die, I'll born. That's what Nachiketa thinks, that I'll born again. Now what happens next is like a fast forward. It is implied, but I think I'm forgetting the name of the Purana, but it has the whole story. And according to that story, Nachiketa reaches Yama's Mahalaya palace, and Yama was not there. Yami was there. So he asked, I want to meet Yama. Yama was not there, so he was stopped there. But nobody knew who he was. So he wasn't offered food or drink for 3 days. So he stayed there at the door, gate for 3 days. And then Yama arrives. Until then, for those 3 days, Nachiketa did not have water or food. That means he might have done Atmaghat. Without taking food or water, he might have passed away in those 3 days. It is also possible or implied. Now next Yama arrives. Vaishvanarah pravishatyatihi brahmano gruhan tasyaitam shantim kurvantim hara vaivasvatodakam. Yama said, a Brahmin guest, I wouldn't say Brahmin, a Brahmana guest entering the house is like the Lord of Fire, Vaishvanara. Give him water to soothe him, O Vaivasvata. Vaivasvat is son of Vivaswan, son. Okay, again, many metaphors here. So Yama arrives. Yama sees a Brahmana boy sitting there as Atithi without food and water. and he gave this upama, this label, the name for every Brahmana, Vaishvanara. Vaishvanara is the fire that resides in every being in the whole universe. So there are two words, Jataveda and Vaishvanara. Both are fire, but which fire, which Agni? Jataveda is residing in every atom, which knows everyone. That is Jataveda. And Vaishvanara is enveloping everything. It's the same fire, same Agni, but here the characteristic is little different. It envelops everything, which began when the universe came into existence. That is Vaishvanara. And who he asked? Son of Vivaswan, Vaivasvata. Now Vaivasvata was Manu. So our Chaturyuga, our not Chaturyuga, our Manvantara is Vaivasvat Manvantara. And Vaivasvat was the first leader, I would say, not first person, but leader of the Manvantara. And he was considered son of God, son. Son is Vivaswan. His son is Vaivasvat Manu. Vaivasvat Manu, why he is son of God? Because there was Ice Age. If you look at Purana, all the characteristics or descriptions of the previous Yuga was Sandhi Yuga. And in the Sandhi Yuga, everything was dark, cold. And from that coldness, I think when it subsided, it became water. So the whole earth was watery. And Vaivasvat Manu was the leader to take whoever survived to the new land. So it's like act of God, act of which God? Son. And that's why he was called son of God, Vivaswan. And now Yama is asking him to give water to Nachiketa. Again, a metaphor. When we say that Pitruloka is some higher loka, but its doorway, its pathway is through sun. So sun is like father of the, or gateway of the Pitruloka. And who is the first Pitru? That is Vaivasvat Manu. So Nachiketa, he passed away and his body is going through that pathway and reaching Yama in the Pitruloka. That can also be said according to Purana. Now, another way, let's say if I don't eat or drink for 3 days, the first thing I would do is get water. Not eating food, I would first get water. Now, who can give me water? That is, whoever gives me is Vaivasvat, because source of our energy is sun. Everything, every action happens on this earth is ascribed to sun. So let's say my wife gives me water, but ultimately that comes from sun. So she is Vaivasvat in that term, and she gives me water to soothe me, to satiate me after 3 days. And now Yama is there. That means Nachiketa achieved the siddhi of when we do some actions, eventually we master that action. We become skillful in that action. So when we do Yama, I think Nachiketa was 11, 12 years old at that time, and he could fast for 3 days. Fasting means not like us. We take special food, falahar. In the name of falahar, we do many things. But he did not take food or water for 3 days, a 12-year-old boy. That means he mastered Yama. he mastered that skill and Yama appeared. That means he is Siddhi. That means he is reaching the next stage of Ashtanga Yoga or next stage of Shadanga Yoga, or whatever you want to call it. आशा प्रतीक्षे संगतन सुनृतां चेष्टापूर्ते पुत्र पशुंश्च सवार्ण एतद् दन्ते पुरुषस्याल्पमेधसो यस्या नश्नन् वसति ब्राह्मणो गृहे. Hope, eagerness, good company, friendly conversation, fulfillment of wishes, sons and cattle, all these are destroyed for the mean-spirited man in whose house a Brahmana guest is not offered food. Now, in those times, in those societies, unlike today, Atithi were considered Deva. And on top of that, if Atithi is Brahmana, he or she is next to God. So when Brahmana Atithi is there, and if he or she is not offered food, what happens? What is lost? What is destroyed? Those characteristics: hope, eagerness, good company, friendly conversation, fulfillment of wishes, sons and cattle. So opposite happens. If Atithi is not fed, if Atithi, on top of that Brahmana Atithi, if he or she is not offered food. So it's like that social norm in those times. तिस्रो रात्रिर्यद्वात् गृहे मे अनश्न ब्रह्मन्न तिथि नर्मस्यः नमस्ते अस्तु ब्रह्मन् स्वस्ति मे अस्तु तस्मात् प्रति त्रीन् वरान् वृणीष्व. You have dwelt in my house 3 nights without food. O venerable Brahmana guest, I bow unto you. O Brahmana, may I be forgiven. Please choose 3 boons in return. Now Yama, god of death, is bowing to Nachiketa, a 12-year-old boy, and asking forgiveness. God of death, asking forgiveness of that Brahmana boy. So now we can think about Nachiketa, his stature, what he achieved in that state. Yet even Yama had to bow down. So we can say that he might not have passed away. Even if he restrained himself of food for 3 nights, night is used here, meaning for 3 days, 72 hours, he did not have food or water. He achieved something significant for a 12-year boy. He did not pass away, meaning the god of death bowed down to you, bowed down to him and asked forgiveness. शांत संकल्पः सुमना यथा स्यात् वितमन्युर्गौतमो मा अभिमृत्यो त्वत् प्रसृष्टं मा अभिव देवत् प्रतीत एतत् त्रयाणां प्रथमं वरं वृणे. So Yama asking for forgiveness, but then he blessed him with 3 boons. Ask me 3 things. Nachiketa said, O Lord of Death, may my father Gautama be peaceful of heart, calm of mind, free of anger, and greet me with cheerfulness when I am released by you. This is the first of the 3 boons I choose. What is the first thing he chose? His purpose. His purpose was to ignite thought in his father's mind that he was doing something wrong. So this is the first boon he asked, that my father, Gautama meaning, I am Chirag Patel. Patel is my last name or surname. But in those times, my surname used to be the name of the Rishi. Usually my father or my forefather. So Rishis or persons born in the lineage of Gautama Rishi is Gautama. So all these Aruni, Uddalaka, Nachiketa, they were born in Gautama Vansha. So he says, my father Gautama. Everyone born there is called Gautama. We can say Gotra. Gautama, be peaceful of heart because he did something wrong. First, he was in irritation and anger because Nachiketa asked him 3 times. That created hatred, anger. So first, he became peaceful, calm, free of anger. He must not have anger. Then he can think. Greet me with cheerfulness. So when I am released, when I am going back to my life, he must be peaceful, anger free, and cheerfully accept me. Very important. We have some 20-25 minutes. Should we continue or want to discuss? Maybe Nitin bhai, your thoughts? Sure. Right. Sure. So when I say I don't know Brahma, then I am definitely not knowing Brahma. I am ignorant. And if I am ignorant, I definitely don't know Brahma. I have no idea. When I say I know Brahma, that means I have some idea of Brahma. Now that idea can be right or wrong, and who can validate that? Because nobody knows Brahma. Krishna even says that in Gita, whatever you do, you cannot know me. Katha Upanishad says the same thing. Whatever you do, you cannot know Brahma. 3 great gods, Agni, Vayu, Indra, tried. They couldn't know. Uma appeared and explained a little who Brahma was. But that explanation, again, when I say something, it creates thoughtfulness in me, creates some thoughts in me as well as in you. When those thoughts are created, nobody can validate that. Uma doesn't appear, we are not worthy. Uma doesn't appear and bless us that what you thought is right or wrong. We don't know. So when I say I know Brahma, I am also going in wrong direction. If I keep even if Uma eventually validates that what you did is right, my pathway could be wrong, and somebody else walking on those streets might also get lost. So I cannot claim that I know Brahma. So when I start saying I know Brahma, I don't know Brahma is. I am also lost. And maybe I can give an example that if I go to a tribal area, those tribal people, they are aloof from the world, our world. So they don't know what an iPhone is. They are ignorant. For them, iPhone doesn't exist. So iPhone exists or not doesn't matter to them. They were in darkness. They were not aware of iPhone. They were in darkness, some darkness. But for them, it really didn't matter. But when I reach them, I show them what this phone is capable of. Now they know something. Knowing something creates more ignorance in them. Oh, there is iPhone. How can I operate it? What if I press this button? What is going to happen? Is it going to delete something? Is it going to create, say, they just randomly press some buttons and 911 is called if they are in USA? Then police will come or reach them. So they don't know what is going to happen, what that action is going to lead them to something. They are in greater darkness. When they knew something, when they didn't know anything, it didn't really matter. They were in darkness. But when they knew something, they were even in greater darkness. And that greater darkness is dangerous. They were at least protected when they were ignorant. But now they knew something, now they are open to the bigger world. They have to fight many fronts now. Whether they are capable of handling that or not, who can validate that? So I think that's why there is Guru Shishya Parampara created. And it is equally important to find a capable Guru. A Shishya has a hunger of seeking, and Shishya reaches some Guru. But if that Guru is not capable, both are going in wrong direction. And it will create greater darkness in Shishya as well as in Guru. Because now Guru is bound by that act, that you are taking somebody to wrong direction. So it is better to avoid all that. If we can find a good Guru, surrender. If we cannot, surrender to whatever God we like and seek, do bhakti. I think that is the simplest thing I think so far. So ignorance is boon in certain aspect, and knowledge is curse in many aspects. Maybe I answered or not, don't know. Okay, let's figure out. Maybe this is the one. I do not believe I know it well, nor do I believe I do not know it. Nor do I believe I do not know it. When I said I do not know it, that means if I have that belief that I do not know Brahma, that means I have some idea of who or how that Brahma would look like, or have what kind of characteristics. So if I don't know, let's take the example of tribals. Tribals did not know about, they were aloof from the world. They did not know about iPhone. That means for them, iPhone did not exist, or exist, it didn't matter. But one of the tribals came in contact with me. He saw my iPhone. He went back. He just looked at the iPhone. He went back. He said there was iPhone. He just learned that word, iPhone. He told rest of the world, his world, hey, there is iPhone. Now what happens to the rest of the tribals? Hey, there is iPhone. But I don't know. They came into contact of one word, iPhone, but they don't know what that iPhone is. Exactly like that. We all know Brahma. That word, we know there is Brahma, there is Parabrahma, there is Ishwar, there is Shakti, Adi Shakti. We have all those words, and we say that we don't know who they are. That means we really can't claim that we don't know. We know something because we know those words. But what implies those words, that idea will lead us to wrong directions. And that's why Rushi said, nor do I believe I do not know it. So who amongst us understands this, truly understands it, and not the one who believes I do not know it. So who truly understands, whether I know or I do not know, cannot be said. They truly understand it. But the one who claims that they do not know, they don't know. Yeah, Jadi Krishna, yes. Right, 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 right. Exactly, 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 exactly. You can describe characteristics and you can say this is that and that, analyze all the analysis, but that's not ocean. Exactly, very true, very true. Uh, no, as soon as you pull water from ocean in that bucket, it's no longer ocean, right? Yes, yes. But, 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 yes, you cannot claim that this is ocean, right? Very nice example Nitin Bhai gave. The example is uh, by great teacher Chadya Krishnamurti, somebody who claimed that he or she knew everything about Brahman. He said, "Okay, get me ocean," and that guy pulled water from ocean in a bucket, so it no longer ocean in that bucket, even if it has characteristics of water, that water of ocean, but it no longer is ocean. So if we know Brahma, we lost it. If we don't know Brahma, we lost it. Because we have that label, Brahma. We have that label, Mahasagara. So when I say I don't know Mahasagara, but as soon as I do, I have a bucket full of water of Mahasagara. Very good example. Very good example. Thank you, Nitin. Uh, Maybe any other thing, or we should continue. We still have 10 minutes. So we were at three boons, and first boon was to make father peaceful, calmful, free from anger, and be ready to cheerfully accept Nachiketa when Nachiketa goes back. That means Nachiketa indirectly asks, I'm going back. Second is Yatha Purastad Bhavita Pratit Audala Kiraruni Mat Prasrushtaha Sukham Ratrihi Shaita Vitamanyuhu Tvan Dadrushi Van Mrityu Mukhat Pramuktam. Yama said, after I release you, Aruni Uddalaki will be cheerful as he was before. He will sleep peacefully at night, and he will be free of anger when he beholds you liberated from the mouth of death. So Yama give the blessing that okay, Aruni Uddalaki. So now uh, Aruni is the name of Rishi, father of Nachiketa, and Uddalaki is grandfather of Nachiketa. Uddalaka. Uddalaka is his grandfather. So his father was named as Aruni Uddalaki, and their Vansha or Gotra was Gautama. And he will be cheerful like before. He wasn't cheerful. Yama again implies Vajashravas was giving those cows. They were about to die. But he must have known that I am giving not good cows, but my dana is not Shuddha. Because he was Rishi, right? He was Rishi of that stature. So he must have known. But he just wanted to get rid of those, barren cows. That's why he was giving dana. Like us, we give clothes for charity. But which clothes? Worn out. So is it a charity? No. We are just taking our waste out. So it's not dana. It is just cleaning our house, nothing more. It's not charity. If you want to do charity, go to dealers, buy some shoes, clothes, and give it to charity. That's dana. Otherwise, it's just cleaning up. So Vajashravas must have known that he is doing wrong, and that's why Yama implies that he'll be cheerful like before doing this wrong act. He was Rishi, so he will go back to his own before the previous state, and he will have peaceful sleep, because if you do something wrong, you cannot sleep that night. See, we are all normal beings, right? So many things affect us. Whatever happens during the daytime, that comes back at night. Only at night, not during the daytime. So when in the night that wrong thing comes back, if we did something good, we sleep peacefully. But if we did something wrong, definitely we are not going to sleep well. So Yama gives this blessing, okay, he'll sleep peacefully and will be free of anger. When he sees you going back, you're liberated from death, meaning you are not dead. Because originally Vajashravas, Aruni, Audalaki, Gautaman gave Nachiketa to Yama, death. That means he wished that he would die. But that was in irritation or anger, he said. In Gujarati we say mar. We use that word. When a child kind of irritates mother, mar. Meaning she did not wish that the boy or girl would die, but it was an expression. But after 5 minutes, when mother will look at the child again, she'll be happy. Okay, everything is good. So your father will be happy, cheerful. Don't worry. स्वर्गे लोक न भयं किं च नास्ति न तत्र त्वं न जरया बिभेति उभे तीर्त्वा अशनाया पिपासे शोकातिगो मोदते स्वर्गलोके. Nachiketa side. Now this is about second boon. In heaven, there is no fear of any kind. There is neither fear of youth nor of old age. Having transcended both hunger and thirst, and having moved beyond sorrow, everyone rejoices in heaven. So now, this is the concept of heaven. What is heaven? Well, many religions claim different things, but Sanatana Dharma claims this, that heaven is somewhere or something, a state where there is no hunger. There is no body, so no hunger, no thirst. There is no body, meaning there is no joy, fear. There is no fear of old age also, because somebody passed away. There is no body, so who is going to be old? So there is no such fear in heaven. Heaven is free from all these bondages. Even there is no fear of death, because somebody already left the body. So who is going to be worried about that? So there is no fear, there is no hunger, there is no thirst in heaven. So that is the state that after passed away will be in that state. That is the assumption that once we leave this body, the hunger, thirst, joy, sorrow, fear of death and old age, everything is related to this body. So after this body, if the body is not there, nothing like this is going to happen. So that is heaven. So heaven is just the state. Satvamignam swargyar madhyeshi mrityo prabruhitvam shraddhanaya mahyam swagarloka amrutatvam bhajanta etad vitiyena vrune varena. O Lord of Death, teach me the fire sacrifice that leads one to heaven. Please explain it to me, who is full of faith. I would like to attain the immortality of heaven. I choose this as my second boon. So whatever that state of heaven, I want to have that as my second boon. Now, he also mentions a method. He says fire sacrifice. So we all know Vedas preach Havan or offering to Agni. That means there was some state of heaven that can be reached by this fire sacrifice. And Nachiketa wants to learn it from Yama, death of god of death. So the condition, first condition, who can perform yagna, who can perform havan? We all think, okay, put havan kund here and bring all the ready-made havan samagri and ghee, cow ghee, and start doing fire ceremony. Okay, we all can do that, but that's just a ritual. The real meaning, we want to be free from fear of death and old age. We want to be in a state when there is no hunger or thirst. We want to be cheerful all the times. So how can we, after doing yagna, do we get to that state? No. Why? We have done many yagnas, right, in our lives. So after performing all the yagnas, are we in that state when we do not have hunger or thirst? When we do not have fear of death or old age? Are we really cheerful after doing yagna? If not, that means we haven't mastered yama. We haven't mastered tapa. We haven't mastered swadhyaya. I think there are 5 different things mentioned in yama. Satya, ahimsa, aparigraha, all those things, right? All the virtues. I forget all those. But that means whatever good things that are good for society as collective consciousness or individual consciousness, to purify our mind, like satya, right? Asteya, don't steal or get for somebody. So all those are things that are part of yama. So if we don't achieve that, the yagna done by us cannot lead us to heaven, that state of heaven. So from Ashtanga Yoga, the first limb, yama, we must practice as much as possible. And then whatever yagna we perform, we reach to that state, is implied here. And we can stop here. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnadachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti.